prayer.
Okay.
Eternal rest grant unto Todd, O Lord, and perpetual light shine upon him. May his soul, through the mercy of God, rest in peace.
Amen.
All right. Well, I want to welcome everyone. It's a wonderful day here, and we are here to remember Todd. And I know right now, God dang.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Got it, man.
You got this. You got this.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir.
We got it. We got it. Well, anyway, he's looking down on us with a huge smile. So I'm going to call this my remember list, how I remember Todd and the great things we have done together. Just not me, all you guys. So it's not in any chronological order. It's just me remembering Todd. And afterwards, if anyone else wants to say a few words, feel free. I hope someone does. But I remember moving here in 1976, and I met Todd, and I was walking down towards the school, and he was going to Vince Lombardi football practice. And he was tall, he was head and shoulders above everybody else. He had that bleached blonde hair. And I walked past him. He said, "Hey, you gonna play football?" I said, "My mom won't let me." And I said, he said, "Why?" I said, "I asked her. I don't know why." And so I ended up playing soccer, and till the day he passed away, he still kept on busting my chops about playing soccer. But I'd always break him back and say, "Well, geez, I scored more goals than your team did points." But Todd was a bright, funny guy, very magnetic personality. Everyone was drawn to him. He had that huge smile. People wanted to be around him. He was a great guy, fun-loving, loved everybody, didn't judge people. He was just a great all-around guy that I love to be with my best friends, right? So Todd was also adventurous, loved to do new things. I remember when he moved out to Utah, he was skiing and snowboarding, and I'm like, what? And but he of course he embellishes things, as we all know.
He was a good skier.
He was a good skier, but snowboarder not so much. And so he was loved to try new things, cultured, smart, knew a lot of things, especially history. Knew his history stuff. He also, one of the great things I remember when he first went to college at Boston University, but a lot of his friends are here today, and I thank you for coming. And so they all came, and they were, part of his Todd. Obviously, that's due to Todd and his personality and his friendship. These guys came to here today and traveled long distances, and we appreciate that. I will never forget going back to the soccer thing. About 10, 12 years ago, I was driving down the pike in Massachusetts, and BU just got rid of their football team. And I was flying out of Boston.
These guys, that's why they're drinking in the back still. They're still talking about it.
So this was my high.
Later. Hey, have a good rest of the time.
So this is my highlight of probably my career with Todd. So as I'm driving, because you can see the BU football field as you're going down the Mass Pike, because I was going to Logan flying, I don't know where I was going. But I looked over and I saw the football field, and they were practicing soccer. And I got on my wife's phone as fast as I could and called Todd. I said, "Guess what I am witnessing right now?" He goes, "What?" I said, "Well, I'm on the Mass Pike, and they're playing soccer on your football field." And he got hot, and they was cursing me out. But that was a huge highlight. And he was, speaking of football, huge Michigan fan. I was walking through the Eastview. I haven't been to Eastview Mall in years. And first store I walked by had this huge Michigan sign. And I said, "I'm going to buy it." So I bought it in memory of Todd. And I have, and I will play it in a second, because every time Michigan would play and they won, he'd start boasting, bragging, Bryce, and then they'd start humming the Michigan fight song, which I'm gonna play. At the end of this, we're gonna do the Michigan fight song. He loved, as I said, football. He always liked to, betting with football. He called me up, hey, you gonna bet this week? I said, no, Todd, you can do all that. And he called me, and of course, embellished the stories, how much you won or lost. Of course, it was always how much you won. He also I remember how much he loved his family, Hal and Mary, Craig, Robert, Michelle.
Come on.
And they were a huge part of. How about those Wolverines?
Yes. Anyway.
Go blue. Go blue.
That's right. Big Blue. Thank you guys. That's awesome. That helps me. Did you, especially you guys at BU, did he ever wake up and tell you about his dreams? I hate.
Family friendly.
He would call me up and say, hey, I had this dream, and I'm like, Todd, I hate dreams, I don't want to hear it. And he would pursue to tell me his dream. It would go on forever. And he would laugh, and of course he'd have a big wad of skull in his mouth, so I couldn't even understand what he had. I'm like, spit that crap out of your mouth so I can understand what the hell you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's kind of funny because it runs in the family.
He also had a great love for music.
No, the dreams.
Oh, the dream.
I was just telling a story last night when the night I was with him in Phoenix, he fell asleep with a big old chew and skull in his mouth. He swallowed it and spit it up. Oh, it was a great
That was...
Thanks for sharing, Arnie.
But he also had a great love for music. I remember, geez, I was in 7th and 8th grade. I'd go up to his room. He had a stereo system. I was like, geez, what is this? He had a big amp, he had a woofer, he had a receiver, and he had these big speakers. And
An AD. Yeah.
what was it, Bert?
An AD.
Yeah.
Audiophile.
Right. And I'm like, I got this little 8-track or cassette player in my bedroom, listen to the freaking Police or something. And he's listening to like Hendrix and Zeppelin and, all these Stones. And I'm like, what the hell? But anyway, he had another one I remember was, remember you guys had that huge train set?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Playroom,
Yeah, in the playroom. I remember that place, we go in there and he'd always have to be the conductor. I'd go in there, dude, can I run the thing? A little bit, wait. And after he got bored, yeah, I got to move the track. After he got bored, he'd leave the room. Yeah, I'd go have it. Like, well, where are you going? This is no fun for me. But anyway, I also remember one of my great highlights too was when Hal would take us, our basketball team, to Fridays. We would go to Fridays, and Fridays back then was that was a shit, right? That was it. And so we had a huge table. And we'd get those pot stickers, and Todd, Christ, he'd eat all those, and had a great time. But he would do it several times in the year, take us to Fridays, which was, Mary and Hal and Robert would come, and Michelle. We had the whole family would come and sit in there, and God, that was fun. And one of my favorite memories, Hal. Also playing cards, staying up late. After they had their house remodeled, we'd play cards and pool. Pitch, and there's 15 of us. We'd sit on the porch and have fun and talk. And I'll never forget once we were playing pool, and I was horrible at pool. He'd always beat me. I didn't care, right? But so it came down to like the last game of the night. I said, all right, if I beat you this game, I'm the champion for the night, whatever. And it was my turn to break. So I broke, and I said, now, and I called it, which was sweet. I said, if I break and the 8-ball goes in, I win. And I did. I broke and the 8-ball went in. He chased me around the cage, out the door, and tackled me in the front of the middle school on the lawn. And I said, "You're such a sore loser." One other thing, let me see if I can get this set up. He always remembered my birthday, my wife's birthday, always called. Always, every year called. And let me see, I'm not tech savvy, hang on. Ma.
Oh my God.
179. Wow. Not till November.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I'm impressed right now. I have to ask my kids about Snapchat.
Now, you're going to have to be quiet for this because for some reason.
There it goes.
We're good.
Hang on.
Liam, are you still here?
He is.
Oh my God, you better. Leah,
Liam, tell us a
why are you
story.
here?
Maybe this. Oh, here it is.
Okay.
You're very spontaneous. I'm disappointed.
I am, but this is just
Today, Judge's birthday, hopefully I'll see you in July. Hopefully. So, anyway, wait, 34 now?
That's 2 years ago.
Alright, love you guys. Love you. Bye.
Ah, shut it.
Hey, Pam, you remember Rack McGab?
Where's my phone if you want to hear this?
Where's the iTunes?
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Greg.
I was an AVP in school, so.
You're a little good.
I was at the athlete. I was the AVP here.
I got away with everything. I loved it.
Um,
My bike there every day.
Anyway, one last thing that he was great in keeping touch with everybody. I talked to him at least 2 or 3 times a month. So he was obviously a dear friend. And I have one last thing. Here's a funny thing. I practiced this damn poem like 70 times before I came here, and like 68 of them I cried.
You'll be good.
1, 2, 3. It's only 6 lines.
You got it. You got
All right.
it. You can do it.
All right, here we go. Hang on. It's okay. Here he goes. I love my friend. He went away from me.
You got a birch?
I got it. I got it.
You got it.
I got it.
4 lines left.
I gotta start over. It ruins the flow. It ruins the flow. You gotta do it okay. I love my friend. He went away from me. There's nothing more to say. The poem ends. Soft as he began. I loved my friend. Now, if anything. Oh, wait. Golly. I am.
Craig, help him. Help him, Craig.
Here it is. Yeah. Here we go. the dip of the, you like the spaghetti. Now, if anyone else, hey, feel free to speak. If you want to speak, say something.
I do.
I do. All right.
Hey.
Pistol wants to say something. Oh, when does that ever change?
Yeah. I'll probably go last.
All right. First thing I'd like to say is the first time I ever met the Gaffins.
State your name.
My name is Dave. Dave the Pistol Shark. Dave the Pistol Shark. Okay.
Stand up.
Okay, the first time I ever met Todd Gaffin, I was my grandmother was a member of the Gaffin's Church, the Presbyterian Church, and I was living with my grandmother. We're talking about 84, and you know, my grandmother went to Florida, and she asked the Gaffins, "Would you mind taking care of, you know, my grandson?" And they agreed to it. I don't know why, but they agreed to it. And I stayed with the Gaffins for a week, and I got to know Craig, Todd, Scott Edwards, Robert Davis. And they were just a wonderful family. I mean, a beautiful family. And I remember Todd's, as John Havlin said, I remember that great record collection he had. You know, he had everything. U2, whatever was hot at the time, Todd Gaffin had it. He was a music man, and I always remember that, walking in his room and seeing a vast, you know, record collection. And I always remember Todd for that. And, you know, there would not be a Pistol today without Todd Gaffin, because I will elaborate on that. He was on the varsity basketball team, and I was playing JV. And mind you, you know, the slick moniker like Pistol, you think I would have been a starter, like a star player. That was not the case. I sat on the bench, but I was practicing warm-ups, you know, taking shots, you know, before the varsity game, and Todd's sitting there, and I can't tell you who the other varsity player was, but I was taking half-court shots for practice, okay? I wasn't taking layups, short shots, no. I had to be from the half-court line. I had to be fancy, and I had to do it like nobody else.
You're always ahead of the curve, man.
Yes. And Todd looked at one of the other guys on the varsity, he says, who the hell does this guy think he is, Pistol Pete? And it stuck. It stuck. Everybody started calling me Pistol. It's who I am today because of Todd. And I remember that. And I remember just a beautiful person, man. I just remember a great family, a beautiful guy, good-looking guy.
Oh yeah.
Had everything going together. God, you know, I really do miss him, and I miss him because I call him and, you know, he said, "What are you listening to?" I said, "I'm listening to Rush." You know, that's great, you know, Pistol, that's great. And you know what, I really, you know, and I will have to say, when I left this state, I went to Utah, and I lived in Utah for a while, and unfortunately, it wasn't at the time that Todd was living in Utah. But I always thought to myself, wouldn't it be great to go see Todd if he was there? And at the time, he was living in Phoenix. And I just want to say that, you know, and I tried, this guy going through Colorado didn't make the connection. But they have always been in my heart and in my mind to this day since I met them. And I want to say, cheers to Todd. Rest in peace. I love you, always will. Love the Gaffins. Everybody around it. God bless.
Thank you, Pistol.
I'm going to speak, but I'll probably go last. So if others want to go. Unless Robert wants last, then he can have it.
I got something. I'm Pat Tobin, for if anybody doesn't know me. John, thanks. My pleasure. Seriously.
Great way to remember him.
I don't know if So Todd to me was super interesting because for a big guy, like he had the smallest damn handwriting in the world. I'd sit across from him in class in 8th grade in chemistry, and he'd be like curled around the paper, and he'd be doing this, and I'd be trying to cheat, right? And he'd be like out it, you know, and he'd lift it up and it'd be like, I swear to God, anybody see that? Yeah, I'm starting to cheat too. How did he do it? Right?
You wanted to cheat off him though?
That's just he could not read and know the story. He wasn't around. I wasn't around. You know, whoever was available. Except for John, I didn't really.
Nobody cheated off John.
Are you kidding me? I set the curve.
Anyways,
Tom also had the smallest bladder.
Yeah,
he moves some furniture.
So for me, for Todd, I always felt like, you know, and again, like, you know, I don't know if you guys saw my shoes, but I wore these on purpose. These are like wingtips made out of jean material. So when I first moved to Honeoye Falls, everyone had the cool sneaks. Well, I was from the city, and I was from a Catholic school, and I only wore blue. And so I didn't know how to dress. And my mom bought me, you know, yellow cords and basically Converse sneakers, but made out of jean. And I thought I was just shit. And then I roll in, and then I got introduced to the word bobo. But Todd did not care. Like, he rolled across the street from me, and like you, like when I moved in, he was my first friend. You know, and that was, you know, that's what it was, right? He just was like, yeah, come on over, we're good, you know. And that he's like the opposite. It's like big, small handwriting, had everything but didn't care. You know, just didn't care. And happy, but also struggled, right? He struggled, and I am part of that struggle, right? And I related to him on that struggle with alcohol and all that, right? And so for me, like, we were super tight when we were younger. As we got older, we drifted with our lives, drifted, but he always has a place in my heart because he had a big heart, you know? He had a big heart, and he was always there. With just that smile, that goofy grin, you know, no expectations. And we used to rip on each other in school, like you said, right? And that's all fine, but he was never mean about it.
No.
You know, there were a lot of mean people, right, coming through high school. Who really wants to go back to high school? I don't. But he was always, you know, he would joke around, but he, you know, it was never like, he was never like that, you know.
He could take it too.
Yeah, he could take it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Didn't like
that's,
it all
you know,
the
he had a
time.
lot of Mary in him, right? And he just, you know, he's a special guy. And I related to that music thing too. We went to a Chicago concert together. That was not good.
The music was it Saturday in the park?
Not good. And so I just wanted to say that you know, for me, you know, it was his big heart, and he'll always be there. He'll always be there for me for that. And you know, I took a lesson from that. You know, I really do. And that's all I got.
Good words, man.
I'm probably the least connected person here, but Todd had a special place in my heart, and I'd love to raise a glass to Todd as well. So if you don't have something in your hand that you'd like to drink, I have some cups. I'd like to pour some water for you. Anybody else?
Friend.
Thank you.
Oh, I was just saying I got mine.
And obviously, in all cultures, raising a glass to someone's honor is a fantastic thing to do. So let's do that. I'm out.
We're all out.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, for sure.
And there's another picture around the corner, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. Does everyone have something in their hand?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Thank you. Once again, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm the least connected person of all of you.
Boston, obviously.
Todd is a friend of mine, but I don't have a long history with him. I didn't spend a lot of time with him, but we did converse later in his life. and he was a genuine, honest, and sincere guy, and he always put a smile on my face. And he was always welcoming of me. He was 1 year older than me in school, but he didn't judge, and I know you all know that of him. He was very gregarious and incorporating of anybody. And he always put his hand on my shoulder when he talked to me, and that always meant the world to me. So if we all just raise whatever we have in our hands, and let's never forget this guy.
Yeah.
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 Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Big guy. Then we got little guy.
I know, that's
Little big guy.
a little guy.
We going like that.
Great history with Todd. I've known Todd since kindergarten. I remember
State your name.
Say your name.
Brian.
Brian Maurice.
Brian Emery. I've been through that. I don't like it.
What's your real name?
So I remember coloring on the floor at the Gaffin house, and similar story, John, about the playroom and the train, but always the traps had to be cleaned. So that was the reason we couldn't do it. I've been close to Todd since kindergarten, right up through the end. We stayed in touch. Always staying in touch with people was big for Todd. Had the privilege of the last couple of years of his life to see him a couple times in Florida. Shared a lot of memories with Arnie. Arnie was down there in Florida. A lot of great times with him. And of course, ups and downs as anyone has, and he will always be in my heart, and I appreciate everyone here and all the kind words, and he will live with us all, and he was just an amazing, amazing man. So, thank you.
Amen.
I got a couple of stories. I don't know. I'm going to try and get through them without screwing them up. I probably should have said something to Marco, because Marco can tell a story like nobody can.
Amen to that.
Gaff, as you all know, had a huge heart, but the smallest goddamn bladder in the world. Every 5 minutes he had to piss. So,
Even while he was sleeping.
Yeah.
How many couches and beds on this deck?
Shit. So I believe this one trip we're going to a Bills game. We had 4 tickets. So I was Wise, Gaff, and myself. So the game's over with. We're drinking hard all damn day, and we're parked in like a grass field.
How old are you at this point?
17.
It was back in like 91, 92. So
out of high school.
Yep.
Really close.
So all these cars are getting ready to leave, and they're getting stuck. So we decided to just help people get out and push everybody out. And if you look at this picture up here, that is what Gaff looked like after we were pushing everybody out. So I think O was on crutches this time, and like he was the only one that had clean clothes because he wasn't pushing any vehicles out. So we get back and we're sitting there drinking, and O was like, "You fuckers are not getting in my car looking like this. The mud's gonna be all over." So we literally stripped down to our underwear, and all the clothes are in the trunk. So we're driving home, and I don't know. Something started smelling funny. We're like, "What's that smell?" So all of a sudden, somebody looks behind O's car, and it is just white smoke billowing out all over. It's like a freaking smoke screen, I swear to God. So we're like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, we gotta pull over and figure this out. So we pull into the VFW in Alexander or something. Oh yeah, we all walk in, our socks are hanging off our feet like this, and just mud. I mean, just mud caked in our hair. He's the only clean one. And so anyhow, we found out that it was a heater hose that had blown. So we could fix it with a pair of vice grips and put some water in the radiator, and we could be on our way. So after talking to like 15 people, we finally got a pair of vice grips to clamp the heater hose closed, which cost us $30.
Which was a lot back then.
Yeah, exactly. And after a Bills game, if you know, I mean, nobody has any money left in their pocket. So we're like scraping every dollar, and so forth. But we got it. We closed it, and got the rest of the way home, and it was unbelievable.
Still have those.
Story for a time.
Yep.
No doubt about that.
So my other story is O and I went down to visit Todd in Dallas. So it was Todd and O and myself, and they wanted to take us out to a nice dinner. And there's like this great Mexican restaurant. So you walk in and it's really set up very strange because it had like an in-ground pool.
You guys still in your underwear at this point?
No. We're all cleaned up. We're looking good. So we get there, and of course we start ordering pitchers of like margaritas and so forth. So we order, the food comes out, and we're like, finish our food, and we're like, Jesus, it's taking a long time for our dinners to come. So we said something to the waiter. He's like, you already ate it. That was the dinner. You know, you ate the appetizers, you ate the dinner. That was it. And we're like, oh shit. You know, we can't function on this. So we ordered like basically the same thing again. And after pitcher and pitcher and pitcher of margaritas, I think we spent about $600 that day. Oh my God. So this picture down here is when we were walking out of that restaurant. So it's we drank and ate so much that everybody that worked there was so impressed that they lined up outside. The cooks, everybody, and they were clapping as we walked out. Like, we can't believe you guys ate that much and drank that much. Here's to you. So it was, you know, like I say, I mean,
Represent HF.
Yeah. You got so many stories that are, you know, it's just, I mean, I can't believe how we grew up. You know, and if it wasn't for the Gaffins, I mean, I saw a lot of the United States through these guys, and I truly appreciate it. You know, because if it wasn't for you guys, I don't know, I would have been stuck in How Many Falls here. I mean, we went so many different places and had so much fun. And it's a gift. It's a gift.
Yeah. Very nice, George. Very nice, George. Thank you.
Good job, Lurch.
Nice job, Lurch.
Scott.
Go ahead. It's all you, Arnie.
Start with your name.
Hey, your name and relation.
Let's go. He's here.
How about those Wolverines, huh?
I know the feeling.
You got it.
Take a breath.
It's too hard.
Yeah.
Too hard.
I get it.
You're good.
Friend. I miss him every day. Always, you know. I ask, where the fuck are you at? Yeah, I'm sorry, excuse me, lady. we were good friends. We were good friends. You know, we drank together. We womanized together. I'm sorry. We took him fishing, even though he really took me fishing first on your boat, Lurch. City boy, so, you know, and I learned to enjoy nature.
He told me, he's like, yeah, Arnie's from the city, man. He'd never seen trees before. Like, yeah, I was just saying, like, man, he's gonna, when he sees grass, he's gonna be like, whoa.
This is far. I remember the first time you came up, and we were going down to Lurch to the lake, and I'll never forget. I tell the story all the time. I said I knew this guy from the city. He grew up in Staten Island. He literally had to
pull us over in the car because he's never seen a cow. We pulled over, he got out, he was trying to call him. That's a true story.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, thank you, brother. And I remember Gaff invited me up here. It's like 1980 something, freshman, sophomore year. You know, we're just in between seasons, and I think he picked me up with the train or something, and we're coming through, and I'm like, my God Almighty, this land is beautiful. This is really a beautiful place, Gaff. This is like I feel something here. I'm naturally sensitive though, so my girls know, my daughters know. I hear certain music, I start crying. But this is Todd.
Right.
This is different. You know, the man was 6'5" and 250 pounds, but he hated bullies. You know, he hated bullies. He hated bullies. He just, you know. Anyway, I miss him.
No.
Cheers.
Oh yeah, this is his shirt. I'm sorry, I'm just so damn upset.
State your name.
I'm Greg.
Oh, Biffy, right there. Hey, right there.
First time I met Todd was I think with some Birdie football. Teammate from then on all the way through, and he made it easier for the year that I actually had to stay back in school. Thank you. He made it easier.
I said, wasn't he a great
Ham's like, Ham, I'll explain this, can you? Because I knew Ham a hell of a lot longer than that. Todd was one of the guys who made it. Actually, everybody class 84, you all made it easier. But Todd especially, we got to be great teammates all the way through. And I'll never forget the group of us that, as Hav said, we go to Fridays and we go to the Dome Arena to watch the Zeniths play and just be idiots together, stay overnight at either the Havlins or Gaffins or Grady's or our place, or even and Danny's not here today, Danny Beer.
Right.
We all used to hang out together, and I'll never forget, we'd all travel. Of course, Todd would never drive because he never got his license. I don't think I would have drove anyways because that would have cost him gas money. But we'd go to Herman's Sports on the Mall, and that was before everything was electronic, and we could literally change a price tag, put on a better pair of sneakers. You know, it wasn't just the Chuck Taylors at that point; it was the leather Nikes and everything else, the Converse. So we changed the sticker and take it up to the front counter and charge. And of course, Todd, I don't have any money on me. I don't have any money on me. Hell, whatever happened with that? Did you not give him an allowance or anything?
He spent it before he
So, on cue every time, I don't have any money on me. So, and I know I'll never see
Here's
it.
him laughing from Liam right there.
There wasn't Venmo back then.
I know I'll never see it, and I don't give a shit. The fucker still owes me $40. The thing's never changing.
I have one more quick story I'd like to share with you guys. So, as the Gaffins were remodeling the house, long ago. Don't bring that up to my dad there.
Money pit.
So,
Money not recouped.
I don't know how Bobby McDaniels was associated with the construction crew or how that all played out. But I can remember every Saturday morning pulling up with the, pulling over with the boat to pick Gaff up. Gaff would get in the car, pop a beer. See you, Bob. He was so freaking pissed every Saturday.
Every time.
Every Saturday. See you, Bob. Have fun. We're going to the lake.
I'm gonna say something only because I'm like once removed. I met Todd. I wasn't really friends with him, but my husband was. I'm Pam DeHaan. And the only impression I ever got about Todd was his family. Like, his parents were amazing, I guess. Like, so welcoming, always wanted the kids at their house, didn't ever judge anybody. That's the impression I got, that his family was amazing. And just from what my husband said about Todd is that he was a phenomenal athlete. Unfortunately, you know, Greg's now had 2 friends pass from, you know, alcohol and issues. But also Todd dated a friend of mine, Katie Bach. I don't know if you guys ever knew who she was.
Never heard of her.
I actually thought she would be here today. And I just texted her, because I didn't think it was my place to invite her. I just thought she would be here. But after Todd passed, she posted daily about Todd. She was devastated. And it's funny because I think that was like a true love that actually never happened. Yep. But to this day, I think she loved him, and it's really sad what happened. But just the impression I got of Todd was that his family was amazing.
Thanks, ma'am.
Other than Michelle.
So I'll take one for the girls. I'm Stephanie.
Thanks, Deb.
I have 2 stories. Second day of 6th grade. You're going to find this hard to believe, but Todd and I had Mr. Marfione, and he put his arm around me. He's like, Steph, you are the second tallest person in this room. Hard to believe, I know. I tell my kids that story every once in a while. I'm the run of the family. And second memory is 8th grade PE with Barb and Wally, which many of you were in there. Flag football. I remember Tom Ward coming after me, and Todd just picked me up and ran with me. So Tom Ward pulled the flag off. So Todd was always the gentle giant, and just a true good guy.
Thanks, Deb.
How
you doing? I'm Nigel. I'm
Nigel.
I knew Gaff. I call him Gaff. I knew Todd in college. We played offensive line together, and I came in mid-year, and I was slated first, like, to be this new wave of, and a lot of linemen. They weren't welcoming, but not Gaff, you know. And let me tell you something. I mean, this is a remembrance, and I'm remembering somebody here. And the guy I remember was one of the best people I've known. And one of the best people I've known. And I knew him afterwards, and I'm really glad there are a lot of people here, because I thought it was just going to be these guys from BU, and it was going to just be a couple of guys, and this shows like this is a good guy. And in life, we are, you know, we're a joy and we're a burden, we're a responsibility and we're, you know, a pleasure, and we're all that, everybody, always. And this guy that I remember was always. Because bullies, football players, they're all bullies, but not Gaff, man. And he was fair, he was honest, he was just, he was loving. I saw him at his wedding. I went to visit him in Utah. And the thing about it that really bothers me is I stopped being in touch with him. And that makes me want to stay in touch with the people I know and to not let those relationships go. And so even now, in death, he's making me a better person, you know what I mean?
Good for you.
You know, so God bless. God Gaffin.
Well said, man. Well said.
So, my name's Joe Germonto.
I moved into Honey Eye Falls in 6th grade, and when you come into Honey Eye Falls, it's
Mayberry.
it's a great community. And you know, you go into the lunchroom and there's all these kids and you don't know anybody and you're sitting by yourself. So Robert came over to me and he introduced himself. And he's like, "Hey man, come hang out with us." And you know, I was like, "Oh my God, this is a cool kid." From that day forward, I don't think I ever left the Gaffin's house.
You got a key still, right?
I went everywhere, did everything with these guys. It was so awesome because my family was like a blue collar family. Everyone worked hard. There was lots of love. But when you came to the Gaffin house, it was challenging love. So we used to play all kinds of board games, and everyone was challenged to be better. Think smarter, and it was fun. Everyone had fun. We had fun playing King of the Court on the basketball till 2:30 in the morning. And Todd was always the one that was the king. So, being younger, I was also in football, and there was this kid that was bullying me, and I told Todd about it and didn't really think much about it, but after practice, we're all coming in, and there's Todd, got the guy by the neck up against the wall saying, you're picking on my little brother. And he's like, "He's not your brother." He's like, "He's my brother." That guy, he made that guy apologize to me. That guy still lives in this town and talks about that to me this day. So later in life, I was going through a divorce, and I'd get these phone calls from Todd out of nowhere. I haven't talked to him in 6 months. He just called me to see how I was doing, what's going on. He started calling me weekly, once a week. It was usually on a Thursday or a Friday night. And you know what? I love them so much. Right up until he had passed, we were talking. He had nothing but love for everybody. He was so kind. And he was always thinking about everybody else. And he always said he loved you. And I always said I'd love him to him. And I learned so much from him, from Robert, from Craig, from Hal, from Mary. There was never anything that was more enjoyable in my life than spending it with these folks. Not only did I learn how to be a better person, I learned I was educated, I got better in school, but the ties that were bonded here just growing up in HFL, I feel so lucky because all the stories, we could be here days telling stories about the parties at Lurch's or on the boat. And, I'm going to kind of embarrass myself, but I think we were down at the lake, and I think we might have been on Amory's pontoon boat, and there was, 12 guys that are trying to get on this boat, and it's taking on water, and the keg is sliding back and forth, and we're like, equilibrium, you get over there. And there was plenty of beer, but I don't know if it was Hav or if it was Gaff, but he said, "Yeah, I'm going to go lay some pipe." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Do you need some help?" He's like, "Do I need some help?" I go, "Yeah, is it water pipe, gas pipe? What are you talking about?" I was so embarrassed and so clueless. I had no idea what they were talking about.
Trust me, he loves it. Trust me, he loves hearing that.
So, and we actually relished about it because we had talked about it, and he just went. And after that, he always would call me stud boy. And he would say, "Hey man, you laying some pipe?" I'm like, "No." So just the memories we have and the love that this guy created is so vast and so deep. He'll live with me for the rest of my life.
You're this all.
Anybody else?
Hello, everybody. I'm Robert, aka Bert. First of all, I just want to tell everybody I appreciate all y'all being here. I mean, it means a lot. I mean, it shows how much love is up in the air right now. It's overwhelming. Unfortunately, we have to meet on this type of situation, but I just want to let you guys know that my brother meant so much to me. He had so much of an impact on my life, even when I was in my darkest days. And I made it through it because I was in touch with him. It's just like a piece of me that's gone. And I know I'll never be able to get it back, but and it hurts so much. I mean, it hurts so much. You know, I appreciate everybody being here. You know, and I always try to remember the good things and all the times we had. He had me and my brother fighting with socks on. You know, we get enjoyment out of that. You know,
He always had you guys fight.
Yeah, you know.
You know what Robert said about you?
You know, but my brother, he brought the best out of me. I mean, he brought the best out of me, and for that I love him so much. You know, and I love you, Dad. You mean the world to me. I mean, it's been a journey through my life. And I've been through a lot of pain, a lot of struggles. But if it wasn't for my brother, I mean, I wouldn't be here to this day. You know? And once again, I just want to tell everybody, man, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And you know, peace to him. I'm always going to
Anybody else or?
Greg.
All right. Hab, I will not be as good as you are, so.
Oh,
All right, tell you that much.
Greg.
Oh, Dad, you want to go? Okay.
First of all, let me thank all of you all for being here today. No one loves him as much as I did. It was such a sad story in terms of the way it ended up. But I have all sorts of stories to tell. From the time he was a little baby, when we moved to California, while I was in graduate school, and he was sitting in the back of the car, just as quiet and docile as could be, and just ride all the way across the freaking country. Wow. And the stories go on from there, including all of the things you guys relate to me about the train table and all the stuff that we went on at home, and the pool table and all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to share with you the fact that I still miss him and will always miss him as long as I live. Thank you.
Who needs Kleenex?
If anybody needs another beer, go get another beer. Yeah, we won't.
Okay, Craig.
You know, as much as you emotionally think you're prepared, you never are. So
what I mean have is I think there's no way I can go through this as well as you did. There's just so much emotion that comes through. You know, first just being back here, you know, it's so good to be back. And from Todd's perspective, I don't think there was a time in his life that meant more to than this place. I mean, it really was. The BU guys, that was another huge part of it, but when it comes down to it, it was Hunter Falls and how much every person in this room or on the deck meant to him. He just loved it. I mean, he is this town, everything about it. When you think about how sweet and kind and, you know, humble, I mean, that's him. But I would say it's kind of what Nigel was saying. You know, and time is good, that time has passed, okay? Because it's helped me think to all the great things about him, Nigel, as you talked about before. And Robert was saying, and all of you guys have just beautiful words, of just how loving and caring, just how fun. I mean, if you want to have Todd never met a party he didn't like, you know. And he could turn anything into a party, and it wasn't the drinking piece either. It was just anything you were gonna go do.
Camaraderie.
He had fun, you know, and he was tough, and he was tough. And I think through, because, you know, listen, I'm the biggest wimp on this deck. I mean, I never won a family fight ever. Even my sister would kick my ass.
She kicked mine too.
Seriously, I mean, these Friday night fights that Robert would talk about, they were maybe a minute 10. But I think the toughness of all the things that he gave me was, I think, and especially when he was young, was just the mental toughness. I mean, that dude was tough. Yeah. And he was my idol. I mean, it's everything I wanted to become, and I wanted to be him. He was disciplined. He was, you know, these stories about him being and protecting the bullies. I still remember Tiff Harvey, which I'm glad he's not here in that sense. I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean, what happened was he stole $20 from me, and that was probably the worst $20 you could ever take from a human being. Okay, and again, I think in a lot of ways, I guess Todd was my helicopter parent. Because he just, you know, there's so much that I learned from him, and I love him so much, and every day I miss him, and I think about him, and I think probably the part that's really hard is that my family really doesn't have a context of the Todd a lot of us know. You know, my son, who's just incredible, he's an incredible young man and becoming a young man, he doesn't know Todd, never did, and I think the Todd that we all know was just spectacular. He was just an amazing human being. So, and I just would say probably, you know, Nigel, a little bit about what you were saying before about becoming better. Even with his passing, that's what I look at. You know, I look at what I can do and what I can become, and I try to emulate what he was. You know, he was a small town kid who went to Division I. That stuff doesn't happen too often. Right. And there's no way I would have ever aspired to do that in basketball. I would never have thought it would be possible without him. So, you know, 2 weeks ago, what I did want to say first is, you know, thanks from all of us for what you guys put together. My mom wants to send her love, and thanks to you all as well. We had a really nice ceremony out in San Luis Obispo. So if anybody ever is going through along the 101 near Shell Beach, so it was my mom, my sister, Michelle was out there with her beautiful family, and then Ann came on down. You know, and I think of, I know Pam, you were talking about the one true love. That was Todd's one true love. You know, and to see, you know, all of us again, it was great to connect, and it was great to remember him, and think through everything that he was, and he is missed. He is missed, and again, he's missed daily, and I I miss him so much. I so badly wish that he was healthy because there's so much that I need help with and so much I would have loved to have done with him. You know, and I would finally say, I want to thank you guys for putting this together. John, I really appreciate Lurch, everybody here, everybody who's had a part of this. Because when it comes down to it, you guys mean so much to him. And from my standpoint, I know when Todd passed, I texted many of you guys. You guys were brothers to me, and I can't thank you guys enough for everything you taught me as well. And I love every one of you guys, and I really do appreciate it. So,
We love you too.
so with that, it's Todd.
Yeah.